Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Thursday, January 27, 2022. And it's a little bit warmer, 30 degrees, 35 degrees in some places, warmer than yesterday, which is always a good thing. A little bit colder temperatures coming up, but not as bad as we just had. So we'll take that, and even warming up above freezing next week. So we'll take it how we can get it. We have a very busy show coming up for you. We'll be checking in with your headlines here in just a minute. We'll also be talking with Thad Schumacher down at Fitchburg Family Pharmacy. Get an update from him. Look back earlier interview we did with him in the month talking about vaccines, testing, and more here. I want to replay that for you. Plus, we check in with a new board member. You may recognize the face, the name. He even was on Fact TV for a while. Yeah, former Mayor Sean Pfaff is now a board member of the Historical Society, and we'll check in with him, tell us what he's working on as part of the Historical Society's already great work there. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get to some headlines today. We've got some fun events coming up at the Senior Center. Investment Scams is coming to the Fitchburg Senior Center for an in-person interactive discussion with the staff from the Wisconsin Division of Securities on February 23rd at 10:30 a.m. to find out how you can protect yourself and your hard-earned money from investment scams. Go to fitchburgwi.gov, click on Senior Center, and then click on Program Registration tab, or you can call to register at 608-270-4290. And the ukulele group's got an opening as well. And a longtime member is stepping down. Yeah, thanks to Judy Christie for 7 years of establishing and leading the growing such an overwhelming popular ukulele group. The uke group, you'll be greatly missed. But the fun goes on, and that's going to be happening at Tuesdays from 1 to 2:30. If you have a ukulele and know the basic chords, you're welcome to join us. We usually meet in person at the Senior Center, but sometimes they meet on Zoom as well. You check in with Francine at ginocch@gmail.com for more information. Healthy Neighborhoods Grant application period is now open. This was announced earlier this week. If you are interested in the grant program, you can sign up. Eligibility or the Healthy Neighborhoods Grant program is open through February 22nd. Any interested nonprofit organizations that meet the program eligibility requirements are encouraged to apply. Applicants are encouraged to review the eligibility requirements and application information carefully as things have changed from the 2021 program. Finally, face covering order number 7 will go into place. The mask order has now been extended through March 1st. This will go in effect on February 1st at 12:01 a.m. This order shall remain in effect till March 1st, 2022 at 12:01 a.m. More information is online if you want further details. And we'll share links to the stories that we do every day for headlines. Take a quick break. Coming up next, we open up our digest. We're heading out to talk with Thad Schumacher about the update of COVID-19 here on TF.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
Ready!
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
Helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from Fitchburg Family Pharmacy, our pharmacists, and so much more. It's Thad Schumacher. Thad, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Jeremy? Thanks for having me today.
I am doing well, and I'm very thankful that you're here. I know you are super busy, and again, I cannot praise you enough for everything you and your staff have done. I had my booster shot at your place, and your staff were amazing. And I've had a test there as well. And I said, you guys are kicking butt and taking names there. So thank you for what you're doing day in and day out, first off, Thad.
Well, Thanks for the kudos. And again, I don't want to stress, you can't stress this enough, that it's the team of people I have working for me. While I do get out there and in the snow and test and give vaccine, I'm certainly not doing the majority of what we accomplish on a daily basis. So hats off to them. I want to give a shout out to the city of Fitchburg and the Fitchburg Police Department. I know last week when testing went crazy, we had lines backed up onto Fish Hatchery Road, and I wasn't available to assist very much, but the police and city worked with the team that we have here at the store to rearrange traffic and create a new plan, which has made the testing line or queue longer, which I guess is good because that means more people will be tested. But the most important part is they cut it off the highway, which was the whole point of it. So if people come for a test, they're going to notice some different signage. They're going to notice that we take the line goes all the way around GHC and the park that's there right behind Cahill, Maine. So get in line and be patient. It is quite a long wait. We've heard times as long as 2.5 hours. And we do have started cutting the line off at 5 o'clock, even though we test till 5:30. But when we cut the line off at 5 o'clock, it ends up that we end up stop testing about 7 p.m. So
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And yeah, the information is out there on social media as far as where to come in for testing. So certainly if you want to check that out there, you can do that. Thad, from your standpoint, kind of just looking at where we are today, last time I talked to you, we weren't even talking Omicron. We were talking about flu shots and a booster shot for a certain amount. Things have changed quite a bit since then, but what, from your standpoint, from the pharmacy and what you're hearing out there, where do you think we are in the realm of COVID-19 in Fitchburg and the surrounding area?
Sure. Well, we have a lot of positive cases. I'm sure you've read in the news that positive cases are up, hospitalizations are up, death rates up. And so we're still under siege from COVID. I think the important thing with Omicron is to note that it seems like it is more infectious, meaning that it's easier to transmit from one person to another. That's why masks are very important, that we wear them when we're around other people, that we limit the amount of people that we come into contact with without masks. And we test ourselves regularly to make sure that we're not transmitting positive to anyone else. That being said, even though it's infectious and it's easy to transmit, it doesn't seem to be as deadly, say as Delta variant or original COVID. That doesn't mean that it isn't killing people. Unfortunately, there are people who are autoimmune deficient or in other circumstances that are at high risk. And so if you come into contact with one of those people, even if they're vaccinated, with COVID, there's a chance that they could not make it. And so that's why I think it's important that we continue to test, continue to wear masks. And if you haven't been vaccinated yet or boosted yet, get that done.
And that's where my next question goes to, as far as where we're at for getting the booster shot. What is being offered at your pharmacy in Dane County as far as where we're at today with getting the different shots?
Sure. So I'm not sure on the statistics as to who has been boosted, but I know that we're giving booster and second dose regimens, first dose regimens to people on a daily basis. We vaccinate probably about 70 people a day through our curbside service. And our appointment calendars are full all the way through the end of next week. And so that means there's people getting boosted, which is great. I gave 4 or 5 individuals yesterday their first COVID vaccine. And so, I congratulate them for, stepping up to the plate and thinking of everybody else when they do that. And then we're right on the cusp of having the 12 through 15-year-olds being eligible to get boosters at 5 months from their second COVID shot. So that could be any day. I know the FDA came out on Monday and I thought they approved it. I think the CDC is meeting this afternoon. And then once the CDC decides, here in Wisconsin, we'll wait for the Wisconsin Department of Health Services to come up with their plan. And usually they follow right behind the CDC. So I'd say by the end of the week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as understanding for boosting, we did talk a little bit about this last time, but just for clarification, when it comes to the booster shots for the people eligible, can they get, so if they got Pfizer the first time, can they get, Moderna or some other choice when they come in through for their booster?
They certainly can. If you've had 2 shots, and even if you've had one shot of Johnson & Johnson, when you come to get boosted, you have the choice of getting any of the 3. Now, it is currently not being recommended that you be boosted with Johnson & Johnson if you had a Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And so we're asking those individuals to choose another alternative, either a Pfizer or Moderna. We are currently out of stock with Johnson & Johnson, but we have Moderna and Pfizer enough for a long supply. So
good to hear, and thanks for breaking that down for you. Finally, testing the lines, the amount of testing needed. Would it be from your standpoint that don't get discouraged that testing? We want people to get tested, and the lines are there, but how do you take that currently, given how many tests are needed, and we can't meet that supply right now?
Sure. So as far as the PCR tests are concerned with the state program, we haven't seen a problem with access to supplies. In fact, after I get off the phone with you, I'm on my way to pick up a truckload of supplies. But we haven't seen an issue with that. The big issue we've seen is getting the home tests, which we just got a load of them in stock yesterday. And we were about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks without them. And so I think access to those has been limited, but we have those in stock now. But as far as having supplies for the PCR tests, we haven't had any, that hasn't really impacted us.
And is it still from your recommendation too, is when would you suggest people get tested, or should they stick to the guidelines of CDC?
Sure, I would stick to the guidelines of the CDC, which is if you're to be exposed by someone, it's usually 3 to 5 days after that you would want to get tested, because you have to give if you were exposed to someone who's positive and you became susceptible and are going to be positive, you want to wait a certain period of time so that your body builds up enough positiveness for the test to result in an accurate measurement. If you go right away, there's a chance that even if you're positive, that you'll get a negative result, which means that you continue to go in the community as if you were negative when you're really positive.
Thad, thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you to you and all your staff for what you're doing for the community and surrounding area. We certainly appreciate it. If people have questions about anything we talked about today in general, can people give you a call if they can get through?
We'd ask them to check the website first. We try to put as much information there as we can. But yes, you can always give us a call, and we still answer the phone. We just have trouble getting all the lines answered. So
I don't know how you're doing it, Thad, but thank you again for everything in your time. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there, and Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year to you too. Thanks.
You bet. Thad, Fitchburg Family Pharmacy. So check the website out for more information and their available times for testing, boosters, shots, and so much more. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So. I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today, former mayor, former TV star of Fact TV, and so much more. We've got Sean Pfaff here today. Sean, welcome back to TV of Fact TV. And how are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Jeremy. It's nice to see you. I was excited to hear from you and to do this interview. I'm doing well. I'm still living in Fitchburg, still active in the community. My wife and I live in Seminole Forest. We have a beautiful little half pity that I walk in the Seminole Glen Park twice a day, especially on cold days like yesterday is a little tough, but very active in the Fitchburg community still part of the Lions Club and still involved in the community. Also have been selling real estate for the last few years since I was mayor in Fitchburg area. So still very involved, and it's nice to reconnect with an old friend like you. You and I did a lot together in those 4 years when I was mayor.
Yeah, you know, I was behind the camera the whole time, so to be out in front now is definitely different. So you know, just talking with you on camera, I think is pretty awesome indeed.
Well, we always say that you had the perfect face for radio, right?
Well, I still say that every single day, and everybody knows that who's watching TF.
I shouldn't
certainly.
talk.
No, we're well, I'll get you at the end, don't you worry. But we're really here today because you have joined the Fitchburg Historical Society, which is an awesome organization. And Sean, tell us what's going on at the Historical Society.
Well, thank you for that. Yes, I have been reached out to by some great friends on the Fitchburg Historical Society over the years. And as my time as mayor 10 years ago and traveled throughout the city, really learned a lot about the city of Fitchburg. I remember fondly doing an event which Fact TV covered, I know, where we did placemaking on the bike trails heading to Paola in the southern end of our city. And I'm a farm kid myself in northern La Crosse County. I grew up in northern La Crosse County on a dairy farm, and my family had been in that area since the 1870s. I got down here obviously because of school and life, things like that, but I understood rural families and how important kind of being in a community for a long time. So I really took an interest in that when I was mayor. We did a lot of placemaking things, if you remember the great new logo we got that's everywhere, really inspired out of Fitchburg's history. My family happens to be German and Norwegian, but down here, obviously, the Irish settled this community. So after I kind of got myself situated after being mayor, get more involved in the community, was reached out to be part of the group. And I joined the group this past fall, and I'm excited to do that. And we got a 12-member board, and the group, as you know, and as when I was mayor, we put the library in. Of course, it was a great community effort. I was honored to be a mayor to open up a library in a city for the first time we had a library. One of the key parts of that is the library has a Fitchburg historical room. So it can tell you how important the history of Fitchburg is. And the modern day research and curating that continues to go on about the history of Fitchburg. We have designated space in our library. So the cooperation and collaboration, not only with the city, but the Historical Society, and to have that space so anybody can come into our library and go in and work from that space and learn about the Historical Society and the Fitchburg history itself, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that a former mayor is joined onto this, because you're right. As a mayor, you're opened up to so many things besides just the election process itself. I mean, you're going out and meeting constituents, but you're truly got to see, and you were in during a pretty active time for Fitchburg. It was a pivotal time in Fitchburg, in fact. And I think of one of the ones standing out on a very cold day on a ribbon cutting up in Uptown, and you know, and just there was farmland and big space, but how important that Fitchburg is seated in such the perfect place when you think about it in Dane County. But I think that gives you the perspective of being on the Historical Society and really embracing the culture of Fitchburg and making sure that it is shared with future residents and beyond.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to do it when they reached out to me. And I admit that the history of Fitchburg back to the 1840s, I remember Jeremy, you probably have the videotape of this. We did a proclamation at City Hall recognizing the Kinney family. They've been here since 1844. And as a history buff myself, I was able to say that that was, pre-James Polk administration, how long the history goes. But one of the reasons I wanted to get involved is I wanted to talk and bring to the board a little bit about the modern history. We just recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of the fire department. I know 50 years, I'm 50 years old, just turned this year. Yeah, that seems like a long time, but really it's not in the arc of where our city has been if you go back to the 1840s. And so many people that you talk to, and when I was mayor and people talk to me when they're selling their houses, when I go talk to people in Wildwood or Wildwood South, I remember when Fish Hatchery Road was cornfields and there were cows out there and this and that. We have so much history the last 20 years that's happened as well. And as you mentioned, I was mayor a decade ago and proud to serve 2 terms and really work hard and redevelop our city. That was during the 2011 census, was 23,000 people or 24,000. I think now we're gonna get numbers to show we're over 30,000. And as I always said, and people probably heard me say this ad nauseum, what other community is blessed to be between the fastest growing business, Epic, and downtown Madison and UW Madison? So I think there's so much history that of the last 50, 20, 10 years. The other thing I think that the Historical Society, which does great work, and I'm proud to be on this board with so many longtime family people that have been here forever, but also great people that have moved here 30 years ago. Our president, Alan, does a wonderful job, and he's been in this community working for Omega, so he knows the growth of Fitchburg, is the incredible diversity. We talk about the geographic stuff, the farms, Stoner Prairie, heck, we named a new development after Stoner Prairie. On that, we respect our history of that, but also we've got the urban, the rural, the suburban diversity, but the diversity of people, the demographic diversity and the history of that, as recently was discussed at City Hall, Fitchburg was the only community in Wisconsin that's ever elected an African-American mayor. Now the city of Milwaukee has an opportunity this spring to do that, but Fitchburg did that many, many years ago. And so our community, as it continues to grow, continues to be more and more diverse. When I was in there and I saw those demographic numbers 10 years ago, it was 34% African-American Hispanic. You can only imagine those numbers will continue to grow. And the history that those folks bring to our community should be discussed and should be researched and chronicled and all of that stuff. So that's part of it I want to be. I am never going to be able to say, I remember Fish Hatchery Road when it was a Bridgman's instead of the new Park Bank corporate headquarters. Those long routes for me go back to La Crosse County. I can tell you, because that part of the state is growing as well. I can tell you about how La Crosse County has changed. But I can't tell you that down here, and I respect those that can. But I would think I can tell a story about the last 20 years or so in Fitchburg.
Yeah, and it's good. And we want to get into to talk a little bit about the website, which is a great spot to start if you're interested in learning anything about the Historical Society as an organization or just the history of Fitchburg. It's the place to be.
Yeah, that's Fitchburg. Fitchburg Historical Site website is just a wonderful place to be. And I want to make sure I have the right address here, Jeremy. I should have that in front of me, and I'll keep going here. That website is just wonderful. And the greatest thing about it is you can link through the city's webpage as well. Like I said, the city has a connection to the Historical Society, but the Historical Society is its own organization. That's fitchburghistory.org, fitchburghistory.org. And that website, you can see all kinds of great old plat books. You can see older landmarks in the city. One of the great things about our community, I know you've done a lot of coverage of this on Fact TV, is the 5 different bike trails that go through Fitchburg. I mean, it's only community in Dane County we do that. So within just a short bike ride, you can be in rural Fitchburg and really see these old landmarks. And we've done a nice job, as I mentioned earlier, about placemaking those and really kind of stopping and pulling off if you got to take a drink of water or whatever. You can read about many things that happened here many years ago. And that's what the beauty of this is. But since, the fire department was 50 years ago, Fitchburg became a city. It will be 40 years ago next year, 1983, that Fitchburg actually became a city. was a long township for years. And so the other thing I think the Fitchburg Historical Society can do is it can give us a longitudinal look at our history. And it says on our website, the history is yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I really wanted to look at that in a sense of that perspective of today and tomorrow, because in the scope of Fitchburg, I kind of fit into the today. Been involved in the community for 15 years, very involved the last 12, if you will. And so going forward, where does this history take us? Incredible transportation corridors, the Fish Hatchery Road, Highway 14, finally got done with Verona Road, the expansions that are occurring in this city, the population growth, the neighborhood plans. For example, former longtime city planner, you know him well, Tom Havel, doesn't live in Fitchburg himself, but he's on the Fitchburg Historical Society. Brings a great perspective because he helped plan many of these neighborhoods and named many of them. I actually learned something, Jeremy, that was interesting. I knew this before I went to the last meeting where I reconnected with Tom Havel. The neighborhood of Wildwood has streets like Restal, Fresher, Rembrandt, Margate, Pembroke, all those streets. Do you know what those are named after?
I do not.
Tom Havel did know that, but I knew it as well. Plumbing parts. So I'm just telling you, somebody's got to capture that history. There's a reason it was named after plumbing parts. There's a reason why we have Quarry Hill neighborhoods, because there was a Quarry Hill dairy way back in the day. All of this stuff is connected. And as you know me, and this isn't about me tooting my own horn, but I was a guy that loved to bring Fitchburg together as a community. In fact, my real estate slogan is connecting people with places. We built a library, splash pad park. We really worked hard to bring things together. Fact TV has helped do that because we don't have those one school district. We're all together at the high school basketball game, but we have things like the Historical Society that can really continue to bring our history to our today and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this city so unique, as the things you have mentioned, the diversity, the rural, and our city is just all of those factors and beyond, I think makes it so interesting. And Sean, we'll look forward to talking to you and the rest of the staff at the Historical Society, and tell Tom hi for us too. It's been a while since I've heard his name, but darn, I'm gonna have to come to one of those meetings just to check in with him as well. So thank you for your time. Nice seeing you, friend, and we'll talk with you and others real soon.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Check out the Historical Society's website, and we'll check back in with them next month here on TF. Take a quick break. More to come. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.
Como padre, todos los días son un desafío. Y hay que estar ahí presentes. No importa lo cansado que uno esté, hay que estar ahí presentes para ellos. Cuando los niños aprenden algo nuevo, es ese momento mágico y especial. Y creo que presenciar ese momento es mi favorito.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for the day, I want to thank Sean Pfaff for joining us from the Fitchburg Historical Society. You can learn more by going to their website and follow them on social media. And you can follow us on social media, right? Facebook and YouTube, and of course, our streaming channels. You got to check it out. It's pretty crystal clear. Just saying.